Why do some people stay here? If you feel a presence in your home, don't let yourself fall into terror. Fear lowers your vibration and makes you vulnerable. That's why in some houses you always hear the same footsteps at the same time. To perceive the invisible, you have to learn to. As soon as I entered the room, I immediately sensed a male figure huddled in a corner. It wasn't a monster, it was a man who died 30 years ago in this apartment.
Welcome to the Esoteric Worlds. I'm Chokri, Hypnotherapist and Medium. Today, I'm sharing with you a new experience from my journey. Open your mind and let's dive together into the invisible worlds.
Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you're walking through a familiar forest, but suddenly, for no apparent reason, the birds stop singing. The silence becomes physical, almost solid. You feel a pressure on the back of your neck, as if someone is standing right behind you, close enough that you can feel their breath. Yet the air is freezing cold. This isn't a scene from a movie. This is everyday life for those who, like me, have opened the door to mediumship. Today, we're diving into the world of the dead and other entities. Why do some of them stay here? How do they manage to interact with our physical world? And above all, how does mediumship allow us to perceive them without being overwhelmed? The first thing to understand is that we live in a multi-dimensional world. Imagine a radio station. You're listening to your favorite music on the FM frequency, but that doesn't mean the other frequencies don't exist. They're passing through the room right now, invisible and inaudible, until you turn the dial on the receiver. Mediumship is exactly like that. It's having an internal receiver that's able to pick up more subtle frequencies. What we commonly call ghosts are actually consciousnesses that haven't fully crossed over into the light yet. There are several types of presences. First, there are what I call residual shells, or place memories. Imagine that a very strong emotion, a murder, deep sadness, or even immense joy acts like a magnet on the etheric particles of a place. The scene gets imprinted into the walls. These aren't consciousnesses you can talk to. They're recordings that play on a loop. That's why in some houses you always hear the same footsteps at the same time. But they're also conscious entities. These are souls who, out of fear of judgment, attachment to their material possessions, or concern for their loved ones, refuse to leave the earthly plane. They wander in what we call the lower astral, a gray area close to our physical reality. I remember an intervention in an old apartment in the center of Paris. The tenant couldn't sleep anymore. She felt an overwhelming sadness wash over her as soon as she crossed the threshold of her bedroom. When I entered the room, I immediately sensed a male figure huddled in a corner. It wasn't a monster. It was a man who had died 30 years ago in that apartment, devastated by the regret of a letter he had never sent. His energy was so dense that it literally drained the joy from the current tenant. How does mediumship allow you to see this? It's not with your physical eyes. This is what we call clairvoyance or clairsentience. It's an image that appears on your mind's eye or an emotion that passes through you and doesn't belong to you. To perceive the invisible, you have to learn to empty yourself inside. If your own inner radio is making too much noise with your thoughts from the day, you'll never pick up the whisper of a spirit. But be careful, being a medium doesn't mean you're an open door to every passing wind. If you don't know how to close your channel, you become like a light bulb shining in the middle of the night. All the astral bugs will rush right to you. That's when you realize how important grounding is. A good medium is someone whose feet are firmly planted on the ground, so they can look up to the stars without floating away. If you feel a presence in your home, don't let yourself fall into terror. Fear lowers your vibration and makes you vulnerable. Assert your sovereignty. This is my space. You do not have my permission to be here. Sometimes that's enough. Other times, you have to guide them, explain to them that a much more beautiful light awaits them elsewhere. The invisible isn't here to scare us. It's here to remind us that life is infinitely vaster than what our five senses tell us. By learning to coexist with these presences, we mainly learn the value of our own incarnation. We are lucky to have a physical body, this precious tool that allows us to act upon the material world. Don't let any ghost from the past steal this opportunity from you.
That's all for this episode of Esoteric Worlds. If you really enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. See you soon for new adventures.